Every man I've worked with remember the day this hit them like a ton of bricks. And it was the realization that I don't think she respects me anymore. It wasn't a big fight. It's not even a dramatic moment. It's small. It's the way she just brushes you off when you're speaking and you're trying to assert your presence, right? The high roll is the way she talks back at you. Is the way she almost looks at the things you say, and it just feels like she doesn't care about it, right? And you think to yourself, how did I get here? What did I do wrong? And how do I get that respect back without becoming either a doormat that does everything that he's been told to do, or a villain, right? When I was confronted with that question 5 times, something had to change. And now I'm married, and before I got married, whilst I was dating, I made sure this was a problem I fixed, because every single time I was reminded of the disrespect I faced by allowing myself to get into these positions, I realized there and then that if I don't put a stop to it, it's never going to stop. It's not about who it is, who I'm speaking to. It's about what I'm actually allowing to happen, right? And again, as I developed the ability to connect with high net worth individuals on a private consultations that I do through the link in my description, what I started to realize is that a lot of them are solid people on paper, and they don't even look like they don't. I need you to understand that simps don't have a specific look, right? And it's not, and some people are not even simping. We're not even talking about sort of losing yourselves just trying to please women here. We're talking about men who are actually doing the work. These are people that are self-disciplined. They work on themselves, right? But you can see it. The tone has changed. Like, you're speaking to a complete different human being. And what you start doing to fix this is you start doing more stuff, right? The chores, nice gestures, the bringing the flowers home, more silence. And then you tell yourself that if I'm patient enough, if I prove myself enough, then things are going to go back to how they were. In this video, I'm going to describe to you why that's never going to work, and why you need to face the facts before it costs you everything. All right? What you need to do and understand here is that the reason why I understand this so well is because you need to understand that women are not wired to respond to your kindness the way you think they are. You have been taught that we are all equal, we're all amazing human beings, and that's where the first lie began. We're not equal, we should all have equity, and we're not just human beings, but we're wired differently. From birth, and ever since birth, there's a side to a brain. It's left my head right now. It doesn't even matter. But there's a side to our brain that constantly develops. Okay, there's a side to our genetics that constantly adapts to different things. So your idea of things staying the same or things being simplified is exactly what's keeping you behind. It's like, imagine AI, right? And instead of getting up to date with ChatGPT 5, you decided to stick to Blackberries or ChatGPT 2. You're going to be outpaced. Right now, you're being outpaced in your relationship. You're being outpaced because you still think that it's about traditional values. Your leverage is gone. Whether you provide or not, no one cares anymore. That's just leverage nowadays. And leverage without a foundation, without a deposit, doesn't mean anything. So you're stuck between two options, right? You either remove the essence of you standing up for yourself, despite you feeling like you want to snap, raise your voice, pull back your efforts, and go cold, right? Let's just keep the peace. Or you may fall to social pressures like so many others have, right? Just focus on the numbers. Maybe you're deep into the relationship and it's like it's too late to go on. There's kids involved and all sorts of things. There's always going to be an excuse to stay in a miserable relationship. I just need you to know that. There's always going to be a reason to not stay in a great relationship. So you either, like I said, keep the peace, go quiet, go numb with it, or become a villain, right? Both feel wrong though, right? Because I remember when this happened to me, I thought that, you know what, if the answer to this whole stuff after my fifth heartbreak isn't being the kind guy, then it must be being a villain. Because the villains are the guys that enjoy themselves. The villain are the guys that say things how they are and just live their life how they want to live it. That's another lie we've been told. We don't know what a villain feels until we become one. I became a villain. This is what I'm telling you. It's not nice. It's not as nice as you think. It's miserable. Especially if you don't want to be one. Some of the villains I've met are hiding and pretending that the pain that they received isn't still shaping them. They are so hurt that pain that they've witnessed has shaped their current identity. So most men think that the cause of respect is based on being good or bad, being kind or harsh. And it's not. Okay? Because women don't lose respect for you because of how kind you are. And I want you to think about it this way. Are people that are kind always respected? No. Are people that are harsh always being respected? No. So if there isn't a common denominator, why have we identified this as the way things are? Because they're not. Okay? So it's not about you becoming scarier or having more money or more power or influence. I kid you not. Money is just leverage. If you didn't have an identity before money, what money will make you do is start to please everybody else but yourself because you still don't have an identity. Money enhances everything that you are banking on, from the title your job has. That's just an extension or leverage that's based on your studies or the skills you've built. So the reason why people lose respect for you is because you don't stand for anything. I want to say this again. The reason why you lost respect is because you do not stand for anything. You see, at the start of, even as a child, you had a sense for yourself. You see, between the ages of 1 to 7, in the pursuit of trying to make sure that we don't become bad kids, we lose our ability and sense of self. Well, most kids do, unless they're raised by emotionally aware parents. But if you grew up around there, just be a good boy, or just focus on your studies, become a doctor or lawyer, like I did. You're going to lose yourself in just trying to make sure that your parents feel well pleased. And you repeat that same cycle in your marriage. But this time round, instead of it being a doctor, a scientist, or you freaking name it, is be a good husband, a good man. Have you noticed how the old school masculinity is focused on men doing things that make men feel pleased about what they're doing, and the new masculinity is based on women hearing what men are doing that's pleasing them. So in both camps, we're both fed with this concept that we need the other party to approve the things we're doing in order to feel like we are indeed men. How about this? Okay, because this is the thing. I thought to myself, how about in this one life chance I've got, how about I live it without regretting what I've done with it? How about I live it without regretting how I expected to be spoken to? How about I live my life based on what I want to build? I mean, we're all going to die one day. That's the truth. And we're all going to be forgotten in roughly 100 years. That's just how it goes, right? So pressure, kids, work, fear of losing it. This is what men kind of like decide to sacrifice themselves to. Okay? And when these things happen, you compromise, you let things slide, you swallow what bothered you because you do not want to start another argument. And then you go ahead and say things like, oh, do you know what? It's calm. It's good. Don't worry about it. Yeah, it's fine. But you meant to know. And your blood starts to boil and asks, and it's like, ding, 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 ding. Why did you do that? And the reason is you just want to avoid the hard talk. You're tired, right? Because every single time you try to stand up for yourself, it explodes over something small. So you rather just, you know what? Let me just keep the peace. And I'm telling you, that's exactly when you were being tested and you failed that test miserably, because you said to that person that, you know what? This is what I stand for, but right now it doesn't matter as much as your mood. Your mood is more important to me than what I stand for. You freaking missed that. This is why I like YouTube. I do TikToks, but I feel like on YouTube I kind of like more of a free flow. And then bang, this thing hits and then it starts to flow from there. Women don't respect men that don't stand and protect the things that they care about. They can't. Because I want you to register this, right? If you can't respect and protect the things you care about, what's to stop you from respect and protecting me? As in me, the woman. Obviously, I'm not a woman, but you get the gist. If you can't protect the things that God has told you that are for you, that you're called to do, what is to stop you from her not being protected by that same very spineless man you've become? And I'm sorry I'm saying it the way it is, but that's what I needed to hear when I was going through that stuff. I was spineless. I had no backbone. I allowed people to walk all over me because I was scared that confronting them would mean that there's something inside of me that's capable of defending myself. This is why I like YouTube. You see, you love the concept of I'm a man, right? So you find all the boxes that can be ticked that don't cause you to actually confront yourself and face the facts. You're not a villain, you're not a doormat, you're just the man that's refusing to face himself. And because of that, there's no clear line. And anyone can walk across it up and down as they wish. Until you decide that the one life you've been given, it's yours to control, maneuver, and drive according to the direction God has given you, you're a waste. When you value more things than yourself, such as, and what I mean by yourself, I mean you value people being pleased a lot more than your mission being accomplished. You're telling people, right, that they're more important some way, somehow, than you, despite you being a human being that's gonna die in the same way they are. And because of this fake foundation that makes you feel like you're sacrificing for the greater good, thank you to the old generation thinking that was a great bat to pass on. Thanks. Anyways, um, you now go into this relationship thinking, you know what, if I'm more understanding, surely she would change. Of course she will. Right? If I finally put my foot down, of course she's gonna fall in line. Because if I'm willing to do all these things for these people that, by the way, they didn't ask for, you've been told that you should be prepared for war. And what war are we facing today? What, politics? Men being so... Anyway, I don't even get into it. But you think that because of what you're willing to do, people should be willing to appreciate everything else you're doing. The truth of the matter is that what you're willing to do, if it hasn't actually happened, is not really real. So you're creating fake leverage that is leading them into assuming, or that's now leading you into assuming that because of the fake leverage you created, which is I am prepared to die for you. No one's dying anytime soon. In fact, we may even die. I may even die before you do. that you're not at war. There isn't anything happening, and yeah, sure, you can be prepared for World War III, and I'm not disputing that or agreeing with that. But I need you to understand that respect is not built on how loud you are about the things you want to do. It's built on how consistent you are now. It's about, instead of creating fake leverage, it's about creating the leverage with the things you have now. And what do you have now? You have clarity. You have the ability to be clear on where you're going. You have decision. You have certainty. You're able to tweak and move accordingly. But the point is this: if you don't build the muscle that allows you to understand that consistency is the very thing that's going to save your relationship, I'm sorry to tell you that you are going to lose control of the very things you're trying to build. Because no one taught you how to hold the line of the things you're trying to control without losing. Because and the thing is, to be a prisoner until you decide that being a prisoner isn't what's going to work for you anymore. I understand where you're at. I overgave. I was in a relationship where I over-explained, overcompensated. There was times where my missed call ratio to response was ridiculous. I get for one call, it had to be 5 missed calls, right? And all I got from that was burnout, resentment, and the silent treatment. And to make things worse, when I did break up eventually, because I gathered the balls, what happened was I was disgusted at myself. It's like I showered in shite. I was full of it. Like, how did I let myself get so low that I didn't only... It's not even about abandoning yourself. It's about not giving yourself the authority to exist. Like, forget, like, we talk about abandoning. Some of you have never existed. You're just bouncing from order to order. Hey, sir, what should I do here? Hey, sir, what should I do here? Hey, sir, what do you want to do? Who are you? If it's not your parent, is your manager. If it's not your manager, it's the government. If it's not the government, is this. Where are you at? Talk to me. What are you protecting? What do you stand for? What are the principles that you're happy to leave behind if your son or daughter was to ask you about them? I needed a framework. I tried therapy, and honestly, it's great. It works fantastic when it comes to emotions, but I think frameworks work better for me. Why? Because I don't have hours to talk about how I feel. I'd rather just understand how to process it so that I can make effective decisions with it. That's just how I see it. Cool. So I'm going to give you the starting frame that I use, that I give my clients who want respect back. Number one, define 3 non-negotiables, okay? How you speak, how you want to be spoken to, and how conflict gets handled. You set firm standards on that, and you do not to break for no one. Next, if you sense that the conversation is getting disrespectful, this was probably one of my biggest hacks. You stop it. You stop it, you redirect it, you just do not entertain it. It's either stop it or redirect it. But if you entertain it, what you're sending it is, these are conversations I'm happy to discuss on in the way they're being discussed. So you need to put a hard stop and saying, we are not going to speak to each other this way. If you need some time to address what you're feeling and act according, let's do that, but I am not going to have a conversation whilst this hot spear is on. In other words, don't throw the spear rod to someone that hasn't been made aware of the fact that it needs to be cooled off, because they will burn themselves, right? And that's the reason why I'm using this analogy, is because when you trade your self-respect for temporary peace, that's exactly what you're doing. You're getting yourself burnt. Okay? But the truth of the matter is that you can leave and keep spending your relationship in that exact same way it currently is, and try to figure this out on your own, watching clips, studying random tactics, and bouncing and learning through, if she sticks around to understand where you're at. But considering I've worked with founders, executives, solo entrepreneurs, rappers, and singers in this field, you can spend 90 days doing this, right? And this is so that your home stops missing out on the leader you were called to become. Okay? So, if you're a high performer, if you're someone that just feels disrespected at home, if you're tired of choosing between being a doormat or a villain, this video, I hope, has added value to you and helped you understand that it all stems down to you being able to stand up and create an identity for yourself despite what everybody else thinks of you, because you're going to meet the person you've always wanted to be whilst you're speaking to the younger version of yourself. But that's a different topic. Either way, if you're serious, here's the next step. Book a call in the description. If not that, watch this next video as YouTube has recommended it. But I'll see you in the next one. On 500 plus videos, getting to 600 videos on this channel. And I think it's time for me to step my game up, because it's either it's me or it's you guys, and I rather think it's me that's not doing the work. So why? Because that gives me more authority to change things. So